I decided to get out of the hotel this morning to get some more action on BNSF around Springfield. I started at Springfield Yard and just drove around until I saw some movement. I found a westbound manifest freight train hitting Nichols, so I decided to start with that one. I barely made it to Brookline as they picked up speed, and the power caught me by surprise. We're back on the BNSF Cherokee Subdivision at East Brookline, catching the Memphis to Tulsa mainline freight train maxed out in power today. BNSF 5171 was leading the way, with 6 other motors trailing behind, including Kansas City Southern de Mexico ES44AC 4561. As they continued on west, I played catch-up trying to get them again. They were still going track speed by the time I got to Billings, and to slow down through town barely got me held up. Eventually, I caught up to the head end around Marionville, only to find out there was a track window open for maintenance crews at Monett. There was a westbound Q train in front of the 5171 at West Marionville waiting for the clearance to proceed. So I picked a spot just east of Aurora and waited for about an hour until things cleared up. The Q train got their signal to proceed west, led by BNSF 8216. BNSF 5171 West followed right behind about 20 minutes later. I then took the opportunity to thoroughly explore Aurora. The old train depot marks this railroad town, used by the St. Louis and San Francisco Railway Company back in the early 1900s. A caboose used by the Missouri Pacific Railway now sits next to the depot, even though the Frisco Railroad ran through here back then. BNSF and the Missouri and Northern Arkansas Railroad now runs through here today, both crossing each other at the west side of town. The Aurora Chamber of Commerce now uses this depot as a meeting area and office spaces. I also found KYLE SD40-2 3207 tied down towards the west side of town. They use this locomotive as a part of the MNA Railroad, connecting as far north as Kansas City and as far south as Diaz, Arkansas. A westbound BNSF train eventually came into town limits a few hours later. Note that the crossing bell was not working for some reason. BNSF 6153 West leads this empty RWSX coal train towards Tulsa, with a mix of CSX power and a BNSF executive-painted SD70 Mac in the consist as well. The Missouri Department of Transportation was in the process of building an overpass replacing this crossing, planned to be completed in late 2019. They were also making plans on Aurora being a quiet zone as well, meaning trains would not be permitted to blow their horns through town. I then moved to the west side of Verona, finding an approach medium signal for an eastbound. This signal means proceed, prepare to pass the next signal not exceeding 40 miles an hour. The coal train that just passed Aurora went into the siding to meet BNSF 6601 East, leading this Q Series intermodal train. Moving to the other side of Verona, at the east end of the siding, the coal train also met BNSF 6140 East, leading this loaded grain train. BNSF 6153 West was now on the move after meeting the two eastbound trains at Verona. I got ahead of them to CP Global coming into Monett to shoot them again. BNSF 6868 West is now seen coming towards Monett Yard with a Q train, and the horn caught me off guard. BNSF 6868 has a third-generation K5LLA horn. On an ES44C4 GE locomotive, that's not too common to hear, as most of them typically have a K5H or a K5LA of some sort. I went back to Aurora to take a little lunch break, since nothing else was in the vicinity for a while. The BNSF crews introduced me to Brahms. Brahms is a local fast food chain and is known to have some pretty good ice cream. The burgers are fantastic and well worth the money spent. After lunch, I ventured back to the tracks to see if anything else was close. It turns out I actually just missed a westbound, seeing that the grain train I saw earlier was just pulling out. I went west to see what that train was, and it just so happened to be BNSF 4416 leading a Z train. I caught them first at West Verona. I love to get hot piggyback trains at speed, but the rate of speed this train was going here was a little too slow for me. So I gave it a little chase, but couldn't get ahead of it until I got just outside of Pierce City, passing Wallaby Road. At this point, work called me in, so I went back to Springfield to call it a day. Be sure to leave a thumbs up down below if you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell as well so you won't miss another new upload. Until next time, so long from Pierce City, Missouri, along the BNSF Cherokee Subdivision.